A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, Star Wars brought us the story of Luke Skywalker, farm boy from Tatooine, who is destined to go on to greatness and become the Jedi Knight just like his father.
Right.
Who was a fallen Jedi. Changed everything. I mean, pretty much. I was one of those. I'm old enough. I will be 60 on my next birthday this year.
Oh, doggy.
And so, yeah, I was 12 years old when I saw Star Wars in 1977. And I remember it like it was yesterday, man. The first time seeing the scrolling text of the story so far. It is a time of civil war. Rebels have secured the plans to the ultimate weapon, the Death Star, and blah, 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 blah. And then that shot of the Star Destroyer that seemed to just go on and on forever. I've never seen nothing like it. I got all caught up in the Star Wars mania in those days. It was everywhere. And I remember waiting for it to come to my local theater because it hadn't come yet, and it was playing elsewhere, and I was hearing all about it, and so the anticipation was off the chart. And then when I finally got to see it, it didn't disappoint. So yeah, I loved the first movie.
I had the toys because my sisters had the toys, and then I actually saw Return of the Jedi in the theater, and I was very, very young. I still am very young, but so I always loved that you would get to see Star Wars on CBS every year, and that's how I would always see Star Wars. Right, and on TV.
Star Wars, the original movie?
Yes.
Was not broadcast on TV until 1983 after Return of the Jedi came out.
Yes.
The first time it was broadcast on broadcast TV.
Well, yeah.
I watched it with commercials.
Yeah, didn't care.
All that.
Didn't matter.
Just because it was on TV. Yeah.
And, of course, it kind of didn't hurt because I always had the toys, so But, since Star Wars blew up the Death Star and Return of the Jedi, there was another Death Star, I would always blow up my Death Star every chance I could get. But Darth Vader wasn't in charge. It was the space Nazi, Boba Fett. And I loved it when I got the Imperial Gunner because then he got to sit in the gunner chair.
Right. Right.
But I always liked the aliens. I like aliens and droids and robots.
Yes.
More so than good and bad. And I just liked the aliens.
Yes.
Because they were cool. Because I always would watch Star Trek and Buck Rogers and the movie of the weekend, which was usually some horrible sci-fi film on Saturday. And
And the aliens were always so lame.
Yeah. And so this fell right into the wheelhouse. I love the Jawas. Love the tech. Love the lived-in tech of the world.
Yes.
All of it.
The tech just is what it is. It exists. It's probably existed for thousands of years.
Yes.
And it's readily available to anybody who needs it for whatever you need it for.
So I guess I was always into gear porn.
And like you said, the droids.
Yeah. But it's interesting because I'm not into cars.
Yeah.
I'm into robots and stuff like that.
And spaceships.
Yes.
And speeders and tech stuff.
Tech.
Yeah.
Real tech, not, I got a new laptop or I got a new phone.
And the thing is, you don't have to wonder how any of it works. Because, again, it's probably existed for thousands of years and somebody figured it out at some point. And
why do you have to, right? Yeah, exactly.
You don't need to know all the parts of a watch to be able to tell time.
Right?
So, and it is really not science fiction.
It's
technically
no,
because there's really no scientific base foundation for nearly any of it.
Yes,
and so it's not really what you would call it's a space fantasy.
Yes,
just because it takes place in space and has spaceships and things like that doesn't make it really technically science fiction. So
no.
It's got the princess, it's got the Dark Lord, it's got the old wizard Obi-Wan,
and it's
got all the lightsabers.
Let's talk about it.
It's got all those fantasy elements.
Let's talk about it. What was the movie based on?
Oh, the Dark Tower or
Yes.
the Dark
I
Black
believe-
Tower,
Yeah, something like that.
Kurosawa film,
Yes.
which I still have never seen, and it's on my bucket list.
Oh my gosh, you got to put that on the list right now before
Yeah.
you forget.
Yeah, we'll have to do that because I want to make a point of seeing it because just for its Star Wars connection and because it's Kurosawa. I love Kurosawa's films.
Yeah.
I've seen a whole bunch of them,
Yeah.
so it's just
I've
one
seen a
never,
bunch of the westerns that are from,
like the Seven Samurai,
well,
Magnificent Seven.
Yes, that sort of thing. Yes.
I mean, Magnificent Seven is literally a remake
Yes,
of the Seven
I know,
Samurai
I know,
in the
I
Old
know.
West. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just inspired by it.
No, it is.
It's a remake of
Yeah.
that film. Anyway,
Yeah.
and then of course Lucas was on that Joseph Campbell kick in those days.
Yes.
and so he wanted to put some mythological,
Elements.
detailed whatever into the story, which a lot of people really don't. Until it's pointed out to you, you don't put your finger on it really. But that is what the mass appeal of Star Wars really stems from.
Yeah.
It is a classic mythological hero's journey that is like not what we get from our popular culture, and that's what drew so many people to it.
And do you think that's why it's so enduring?
That's why it still stands up. Yes, it is a classic mythological hero's journey. The story of Luke Skywalker and how he, goes on to be the big hero of the Rebel Alliance. And
So it's not because he's white or male?
that shouldn't have anything to do with it.
Absolutely, it doesn't.
No, it's not that. He's
He's the hero.
He's the hero, like Jason on the Hunt for the Golden Fleece, or like
Another white
Homer.
dude.
Well, yeah, but
I know. No, I'm just saying because all these leftists, yeah,
or even Gilgamesh,
right?
who would have been more like brown guy, European, Egyptian, Mesopotamian,
Arab,
African,
Persian.
North African,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they're not all the heroes are white. So get over it, kids.
right. Even Jesus wasn't white, but I said it.
Well, only at Christmas time.
Yeah.
They're always looking for a white Jesus. Anyway,
No, it was Michelangelo and Rembrandt and all them guys that painted him white
that's all right. It happens.
because they were European and they.
Oh my God! You mean
Whatever.
You mean artistic interpretation?
Ooh,
Oh no, that only works if you're trying to destroy something.
go figure that, right?
Yeah.
White Jesus for white Europeans. Anyway, enough about that. But no, Star Wars. That just the first movie. It came almost out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Nobody expected it. It was something that, and it had a very limited release at first. And lines were forming around the block to get to it at the theaters it was playing in, and it got all kind of coverage on the news. And it was a good couple of months before I got to see it, and merch was starting to hit the shelves.
Oh, it would have been driving you crazy, crawling out of your skin.
I was, man. I was living up north at the time. I saw the movie at the Eureka Theater up in Humboldt.
Oh,
Old Town Eureka Theater.
That makes a lot more sense about you now. You were in Humboldt for a while. Okay.
Yeah, for about 9 months, yeah, when I was young, and 7th grade. And then, the anticipation for Star Wars was just crazy. And like I said, Star Wars #1, the comic book adaptation, hit the newsstand before I got to see the movie. And
So you got to see Jabba the Hutt.
and I think me and my brother, we saw the movie at least 2 or 3 times, at least twice, before our parents joined us to watch it with us.
Oh.
We were going and seeing it back and back and back, and we were a couple of those. We went back as often as we could. We saved our lunch money for a matinee ticket on Saturday. You take us to the theater, see Star Wars again? I mean,
What the hell, kids? Right?
we went as many times as we could, which wasn't as many times as some other people were purporting, seeing it over a couple hundred times. Man, probably saw it at least 30 or 40.
There you go. I probably have seen it 30 or 40 times in my entire life.
But, I mean, that was the way it was in those days. There was no home video. It wasn't going to come out to home video in 6 months. You want to see the movie again? You got to go back to the theater and see it again.
Right?
It wasn't going to be shown on TV. And again, it wasn't even shown on TV until after Return of the Jedi came out in 1983. So once it was out of theaters, there was no seeing Star Wars. I remember when they did the re-release after The Empire Strikes Back, because it was listed as episode 5, and everybody was going, what do you mean episode 5? What happened to 1, 2, 3, 4? Star Wars, the original movie, didn't have an episode 4 title on it in its original release.
Right.
It was after The Empire Strikes Back came out as episode 5 that they did a re-release of the original movie for a limited time, and it corrected that with the title episode 4, A New Hope. In the first release, it was just called Star Wars.
All right, let's address the elephant in the room.
Which is?
Luke and Leia. We're not originally related. They only became brother and sister in the development of Return of the Jedi because he didn't want to have to deal with Star Wars anymore. Originally, he was going to go off into the unexplored region to look for his sister, and Leia was going to fight the good fight and rebuild the Republic. And do you think that the prequels, like some people have said, really screw up the story of Star Wars by C-3PO being built by Anakin, when some of the original bios on him that he was an 8,000-year-old droid and all this other stuff? What do you think? What do you think about all that?
That is a point of contention, the 3PO thing. That C-3PO, legendary droid of the Rebel Alliance, who was, instrumental and directly involved in many of their victories, was built by a 9-year-old kid out of spare parts in a junkyard on Tatooine. And yeah, the previous lore and, general consensus on 3PO was he was at least not thousands of years old, but several hundred. Is either between 200 and 800 years old, something like that. And it never had his memory wiped. And here he threw both of those out the window in The Phantom Menace. And, that's a point of contention.
And what about Luke and Leia? Because I think that just makes it kind of weird.
Well,
both times they kissed in Star Wars and in The Empire Strikes Back.
She gave him a kiss on the cheek for luck when they swung across the chasm.
All right, but you don't mouth kiss your relative.
And that mouth kiss when he was recovering was not necessarily like a romantic thing. It was it could be a sign of but neither of them knew that they were brother and sister at the time either. So it was just a little innocent little peck kind of thing, and even if they knew they were brother and sister, siblings do that. So I'm not tripping on that because
I don't.
I kind of expected there to be some kind of a love triangle going on between Han, Luke, and Leia.
No, that just happened in real life with the actors.
Right. But then the whole Leia and Luke are actually fraternal twins. Separated at birth, threw that out the window. It was no longer an option.
Yeah.
It's a non-issue, and so Han and Leia can continue on doing whatever they're going to do. And
snorting coke.
But with John Belushi,
which she then went and got engaged. No, she got engaged to Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
What the hell? God damn! What a world. Anyway.
So anyway, no, it's the first movie though. It really did leave a lasting impact on me, man. And
does it still hold its resonance, even though what Disney has done to Star Wars, or does it just make it that much more awful what Disney has done to it?
Well, you know what? Whatever Disney's done to whatever they're doing with it has not diminished my appreciation of the original trilogy. I love those movies. They're great. And we're gonna do other talks about the other two, but
no round-headed art house film boy can ruin Star Wars for you, no matter what.
But like I said, man, I'm old enough to have been there. I can remember a world before Star Wars. I
have one more question. Do you like when they come after the old fans and get rid of the old fans for this new set of fans that doesn't show up?
Well, there's a loaded question.
Right? Both barrels.
Disregarding any significant segment of your fan base is just bad business.
Right?
I mean, if you got people that are You got a
Hardcore since '77,
Eh,
right here.
Right? And fuck, you know how much money I've spent on Star Wars shit over the years? And I fucking love it. I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt right now that came from Disney's Star Wars Experience Galaxy's Edge. So, yeah, big into the Star Wars. And
Just say it. It's all right.
sucks what Disney's been doing with it. And it's kind of a lot like what Paramount's been doing with Star Trek, too. Just, the fuck is you? You got the biggest science fiction franchises in the world between them. Star Trek, Star Wars, both of them. The two biggest, number 1 and 2 in the world, and neither of them know what to do with them. It's ridiculous, man.
Alrighty.
And it sucks for those of us who have been long-time, lifelong fans like we are, and we're seeing it
Decimated.
being turned into what it's been. Yeah, and, you know. Anyway.
With that, like, share, and subscribe.